Yo, what is good, people? I go by the name of Beezy and welcome back to the channel, man. If you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel and you're not subscribed already, man, make sure you guys are smashing the subscribe button. If you guys are not part of the Discord, make sure you join the Discord. And if you're not following me on any of my social medias, make sure you follow me. The links to all those things will be in the description below, okay? Now, with that being said, man, let's jump straight into this, man. SpiderMan 2099. Now, let me tell you something. This guy looks like a Batman. This guy looks like a Batman. I can't even lie. This guy looks bad. Yeah, this guy looks bad. I'm excited for this guy. I've read through his abilities, man. This guy looks... I like the look of this guy. Anyway, without me telling you about how this guy looks, let's go into it, man. So straight away, this new Spider-Man is going to be a science champion, okay? Now, it seems his abilities seem very interesting, man. So let's just go straight into his abilities, okay? So as you can see here, abilities, man. What's always active? Spider-Man cannot gain buffs, okay? Whenever he would gain a buff, instead he pauses his personal debuff for 5 seconds. While dodging backwards, Spider-Man 2099 is not struck by attacks. Dodging an attack this way triggers his debuff's pausing ability, okay? Gain 75% damage resistance if the opponent is under the effect of a true strike or if their hit deals true damage, okay? Now, what it seems like it's gonna be is if you dodge back and you would normally obviously prompt a dex due to dexterity masteries or whatnot, instead of gaining the buff, you will pause a debuff on the opponent, okay? So he very much seems like the more debuffs you put on the opponent, with obviously the ability to pause the debuffs for a short period of time, the more damage you're gonna deal at certain points of the fight, which we will get to obviously later on when we're going through his abilities, okay? So don't think, oh, he can't do buffs. Like, hang on a minute, if he can't gain buffs, what's that all about? He doesn't gain buffs, but he deals debuffs. Like, you know, that's kind of the direction that we're going in, okay? So as you can see here, any buff from any source will trigger his debuff pausing ability, okay? Now, Rupture, 20 stacks. Light and medium attacks have 25% chance to inflict rupture, dealing 505.4 physical damage over 10 seconds. 100% chance to inflict rupture on a block if the opponent is suffering from a wither debuff, okay? I believe a wither debuff is a new debuff mechanic and added to the game. So that's obviously, so you can play very aggressive with Spider-Man 2099, man. So for all you aggressive players out there, this is gonna be a champion that you guys are gonna like a lot, man, when you guys get to grips with how he works, okay? An opponent takes a burst of 758.1 physical damage for each rupture on the opponent if they reach 0 power or when they gain a bar of power. Ruptures are consumed after this effect takes place, okay? No, striking into the block if the opponent is suffering from the wither debuff is the most reliable way to inflict lots of ruptures, okay? Mike's notes, this is the first time we've seen the wither debuff as part of a champion's kit. It reduces ability power rate, and Spider-Man 2099's got a very strong one, okay? Now, heavy attacks. Inflict an exhaustion debuff, decreasing critical damage rating by 64.95 for 15 seconds, max 5 stacks, okay? 15 seconds is a long time for a debuff duration, man, in my opinion, okay? Resistance up, max 100 stacks. When attacked, there is a 100% chance to gain an indefinite resistance up passive, increasing physical resistance by 87.5 and energy resistance by 5606. Interrupting Spider-Man 2099 while he is charging a heavy attack removes all resistance up stacks. If at least 20 stacks were removed this way, he inflicts a wither debuff, reducing ability power rate by 150% for 20 seconds, okay? When Spider-Man 2099 pauses his personal debuffs, he consumes 5 stacks of resistance up and increases the pause duration for 5 seconds. By 5 seconds. This effect has 10 seconds cooldown, okay? No, as an attacker, resistance up is better to use as a resource that helps to increase the duration of the debuff pauses. It is usually not worth saving it for its defensive value, okay? Now, that's one way that obviously you can activate the Wither debuff on the opponent. And think of it like a bit like, you know, if you're using Aegon and you go to heavy and you take a hit and you gain the Unstoppable and you gain the Furies, you obviously then kind of take a little bit of a hit for more damage, okay? It's going to be a little bit like that. But because you've got a lot of like physical and energy resistance, you know, it seems like it seems like he's going to be very tanky, okay? So if you can get him to the point where he's really tanky and you can use that heavy attack and obviously get attacked when you're using your heavy, obviously you can obviously benefit by activating the Wither debuff, and then obviously you know, play him obviously according to that. So that's one way to activate his Wither debuff, okay? There is another way to activate his Wither debuff, which we will get to obviously later on in his abilities, okay? Now, special one, Raging Claws. Last 3 hits have a 100% chance to inflict physical vulnerability debuff, decreasing physical resistance by 233.33 for 15 seconds, max 15 stacks. On activation, gain 15 stacks of resistance up passive, increasing physical resistance by 87.5 and energy resistance by 5606, okay? This special provides enough stacks of resistance up to allow for SpiderMan 2099 to extend his debuffs for up to a total of 30 seconds, more than enough time to reach your special 2 with many pause debuffs, okay? Now, special 2, maximum pressure. On activation, inflicts a Wither debuff, reducing ability power rate by 150% for 15 seconds, max 5 stacks, okay? Each hit deals a burst of 947.63 physical damage per unique debuff on the opponent, okay? So that's why it's so important to make sure that you're getting as much debuffs on the opponent as possible, and you're playing him in a way where you can pause the debuffs for as long as possible, as frequent as possible, to obviously make sure that by the time you get to your SP2 and you can hit your SP2 off, you can obviously get as much damage out of it as possible, okay? So like I said, also that's the other way where you can inflict the Wither debuff, okay? So you can either do it by, you know, charging your heavy attack and getting hit, or you can do it by activating your SP2. It's completely up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable with and how aggressive your playstyle is, okay? Now, special 2 is the biggest source of damage for SpiderMan 2099, provided the opponent is suffering from lots of debuffs. This attack also inflicts a Wither debuff, which allows SpiderMan 2099 to inflict Rupture through blocks, increasing his damage even further. So when you've got that Wither debuff, regardless of how you activate it, you want to be as aggressive as possible, hitting into the opponent's block, okay? But don't use 5-hit combos, okay? All right, so the special 3, Spider Venom, inflicts a stun debuff for 4 seconds and also inflicts a slow debuff lasting 25 seconds, reducing unstoppable and evadability accuracy by 100% and preventing the effects of unstoppable. Slow won't trigger against natural class advantage. Slow counts as 4 unique debuffs, okay? So the special 3 is not required for his ideal gameplay loop, but in a long fight, a skilled player can use his debuff pausing ability to bring slow all the way back to SP2, where it could count as 4 unique debuffs and thus doubling the potential damage for the special 2, okay? So yeah, man, so the Sig ability, persistent ruptures have an 80% chance to not be consumed when a burst of physical damage triggers. For me, that is game changing. It doesn't seem like he needs to be duped, but if he is duped, it just seems like it's so much easier to keep that damage output up, man. And then obviously plus 25% combat power rate while the opponent is affected by a Wither debuff, okay? Against a champion that has power gain, SpiderMan 2099 can invert their power gain with Wither, hit them until they gain a bar of power, let the reverse power gain bring their power down, then hit them back up to a bar of power. This will allow you to trigger a lot more bursts of damage with Rupture than it would normally be possible, okay? So just a little tip for you guys on obviously how obviously you want to be using him, okay? Now, synergies. Spider-Verse veterans. So this is synergy with Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Miles Morales, okay? Spider-Man 2099 gains 100% chance to evade the first time he is struck in a fight, okay? for all the other Spider-Verse characters that we mentioned, gain an unstoppable passive for 1 second after an evade triggers. This effect has a 9-second cooldown, okay? So that's quite good. If synergies got taken into account when obviously you were doing like alliance or defense or whatnot, this would be crazy, man. It would be a little bit like that unstoppable mastery that you wouldn't want to be dealing with, okay? Symbiote problems with Venom and Carnage, okay? Spider-Man 2099 special attack 3 inflicts a poison debuff, dealing 80% of attack direct damage and reducing health recovery by 30% over 25 seconds. Now that is game changing for Spider-Man, because obviously the more debuffs you put in the opponent, the more troublesome and the more damage you can do, okay? So obviously taking into account that you can obviously pause debuffs if played correctly, and if you get an additional debuff with the synergy, you're laughing, man, because already you're going to be activating a slow debuff when you activate the SP3 anyway. So also putting the poison debuff on is, yeah, man, this is going to be game changing. And obviously reducing the health recovery by 30% over 25 seconds is also just a bonus, okay? Now for Venom, on a heavy attack, gain an aptitude buff, increasing the effect of fury, armor and precision buffs by 50% for 10 seconds. Love that, love that. I wish it was for a little bit longer, but that's amazing, man. This effect has a 10-second cooldown as well, okay? Now for Carnage, unblockable specials gain 25% increased attack rating, okay? Now AI enthusiasts with Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, Iron Man Scarlet Witch, classic. Spider-Man 2099 second medium attacks have a 25% chance to trigger Spider-Man 2099's debuff pausing ability, which is good. Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, on a well-timed block, 33% chance to gain a bulwark passive, granting 700 block proficiency for 10 seconds. For Scarlet Witch, when granting a buff on herself, gain 15% bar of power over 3 seconds. For Iron Man, heavy attack inflicts a power drain, removing 50% of the opponent's current power over 5 seconds. This effect has a 20-second cooldown, okay? Now, co-workers with Sabretooth, Longshot, Psylocke, Spider-Man 2099 gains 85 critical rating per unique debuff on the opponent, which is nice. Sabretooth, blocking an attack has 10% chance, I think is meant to say, to grant a regeneration passive that heals 25% of the damage taken from the block over 25 seconds. Longshot, when Longshot nullifies a regeneration buff, gain a regeneration buff healing 5% of base health over 10 seconds. Psylocke, attacking an opponent with 0 power reduces their defensive ability accuracy by 50%. Developers note, Sabretooth's signature ability increases the ability accuracy of this synergy, which is nice, man, which is nice. Okay, so yeah, man, that's gonna be it for Spider-Man 2099, man. Let me know what you guys think. I cannot wait to get my hands on this champion, man. I think that the way he's played, I think is going to be very interesting. It definitely reminds me of, like, you know, champions where being aggressive definitely benefits, man. I see it definitely from when I use Sasquatch, where if you play him fairly aggressive, like, some of the damage that you can get can be crazy. And plus, obviously, they've given Spider-Man 2099 a little bit of a utility as well, man. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how he plays in game, man, and how he shakes up the contest a bit, man. But let me know you guys' thoughts. Let me know if you guys are hyped for Spider-Man 2099, or whether you're hyped for Parker more, for Penny Parker. Let me know what you guys think of the synergies with Spider-Man 2099 as well. But that's going to be it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care for now, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace.